And at least 3 liquefied natural gas (LNG) cargoes destined for Pakistan are currently stranded in the Persian Gulf amid continued disruption around the Strait of Hormuz, according to vessel tracking data compiled by Bloomberg, and raising concerns over worsening electricity shortages as temperatures rise. Pakistan has been without LNG shipments for more than a month since the closure of the key shipping route, and increasing the risk of extended power outages across the country, according to officials familiar with the situation. And dead. Paris, more than 50 nations are attending a world-first conference on phasing out fossil fuels in Colombia next week, as the war against Iran underscores how dependent countries remain on planet-heating coal, oil and gas. Ministers arrive in the Caribbean city of Santa Marta against a backdrop of wartime fuel shortages, soaring prices and a scramble for energy security in what the International Supply Agency has called the biggest oil supply shock ever.
That. Billie Eilish is still pinching herself after Biebercella. The Grammy-winning singer revealed she can't stop crying after Bieber serenaded her during his performance of One Less Lonely Girl during weekend 2 of Coachella on Saturday, April 18. Billie, who is a well-known Justin Bieber superfan and his longtime friend, even shared a picture of her bloodshot eyes to her Instagram stories from back home. That. Kim Kardashian and Lewis Hamilton have all but confirmed they are the latest power couple in Hollywood, hard launching their relationship with a high-profile date night in Malibu. The Skims mogul and the British Formula One champion were spotted enjoying an intimate 2-hour dinner at Nobu on Saturday, looking entirely smitten as they made their way to the oceanfront celebrity hotspot.
And whichever way the Iran war ends, its consequences will be felt for a long time to come. Its security, economic and diplomatic fallout has global implications, and this will urge countries to reshape policy priorities in the face of changing realities and a fragmenting international order. First, consider the economic fallout of the war. The economic toll will obviously be heaviest on the Middle East. But the damage to critical energy infrastructure and disruption in oil shipments and energy supplies have far-reaching global ramifications affecting countries across the world. The price of oil and gas has soared, and international energy markets were thrown into turmoil by the war, from which the global economy will take time to recover. And the International Energy Agency has described this as the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. The world also confronts a shortage of natural gas, and the destruction of gas facilities means full liquefied natural gas, or LNG, production capacity could take years to rebuild. The energy crisis has forced countries to raise prices, order rationing, and adopt austerity measures to reduce demand. IT was the face that launched 1,000 accusations of anti-Semitism, each as hysterical as the face in question was hideous. It started with a cover story on the Italian magazine L'Espresso, and featuring an Israeli soldier settler terrorist filming a distraught Palestinian woman whom he and his fellow settler soldier terrorist friends had come to harass. And it was a scene that occurs almost daily in occupied Palestine, with the approval and support of the government and armed forces of Israel, and the story in El Espresso titled "Abuse is Nothing New for Those Who Follow These Daily Acts of Harassment and Occupation." What really triggered the Zionists, though, and wasn't the content of the story, but the face of the said soldier, which is so fascinatingly ugly that you simply cannot tear your eyes away from it, even as your senses revolt and your stomach churns. And his thin lips are pulled back in a simian grin, exposing pallid, retracting gums and yellowed teeth with the hint of fangs. His eyes are demonic, crowned by a single long eyebrow that resembles nothing as much as it does a giant furry caterpillar, and the kind you would have a heart attack to find on your pillow. His sideburns, long and matted, form 2 sickly dreadlocks, like a hellish bootleg version of Bob Marley. And the one positive thing you could say about his hair, facial and otherwise, is that it takes the attention away from his Neanderthal cranial ridge.
That concerns grew on Monday that the ceasefire between the United States and Iran might not hold after the US said it had seized an Iranian cargo ship that tried to run its blockade, and Iran vowed to retaliate. Efforts to build a more lasting peace in the region likewise appeared to be on shaky ground, as Iran said it would not participate in a second round of negotiations that the US had hoped to kick off before the ceasefire expires on Tuesday.
And the ongoing confrontation involving Iran, Israel and the US has once again pushed the Middle East to the edge of a wider conflagration. Military signalling, proxy engagements and strategic brinkmanship dominate the headlines. Yet beneath this visible layer of escalation, a quieter but strategically significant development is unfolding. Pakistan is re-emerging not as a participant in conflict, but as the key facilitator of dialogue.
That Taylor Frankie Paul has broken her silence following the dropping of domestic violence charges against her. Sharing a raw and candid update about where she is in the healing process, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives star, 31, posted a carousel of mirror selfies on Instagram on Sunday, accompanied by an emotional caption that made no attempt to minimize the difficulty of what she is going through.
With the Prime Minister having concluded a three-nation tour to marshal support for Pakistan's diplomatic efforts in the Middle East, and the Chief of Defence Forces wrapping up an important three-day trip to Iran, and attention turned once again to Islamabad over the weekend. Even though key stakeholders have been silent about setting a date, the federal capital, it seems, is already preparing to host another round of high-level engagements, and with security plans and logistical arrangements being put in place to welcome high-profile foreign dignitaries. Routes along which VVIPs are expected to travel have been cleaned and spruced up, curbs have been repainted, and the CDA was said to have engaged in some feverish landscaping, according to local media reports. Offices in the red zone have been told to stay shut, and traffic diversion plans are being devised to ensure that everything stays smooth and in control during what is expected to be the most important event Pakistan has hosted in years. And Travis Barker has never been shy about his affection for his wife, and his birthday tribute to Kourtney Kardashian was about as on-brand as it gets. The Blink-182 drummer marked Kourtney's 47th birthday on the 19th April with an Instagram post that mixed sweet family moments with a rather more eyebrow-raising snapshot. A photo of Barker in bed, sucking on his wife's toes.
That Daniel Radcliffe has weighed in on the great Harry Potter ranking debate, and he's not afraid to go against the grain. The 36-year-old actor who played the boy wizard across all 8 films from 2001 to 2011 appeared on the Happy Sad Confused podcast with Josh Horowitz and was challenged to rank the franchise he knows better than almost anyone.
And Banu. 2 personnel of the Federal Constabulary, FC, were martyred in a firing incident carried out by militants in Karamgahi on Sunday in the jurisdiction of the Kant police station. According to police, the slain officials were shopping at a local market when the attackers, who arrived on a bike, targeted them and managed to flee the scene. And Islamabad. Despite the volatile situation in the Strait of Hormuz, shipping movement remains normal in Pakistan, and oil tankers continue to arrive in the country bringing fuel supplies. After discharging crude oil brought from Fujairah, UAE, the marine tanker MT Sargodha, owned by the Pakistan National Shipping Company, PNSC, at Karachi port, 2 more are expected to berth, bringing petroleum fuel. And oil prices jumped, the US dollar rose, and stock futures fell on Monday as investors dealt with conflicting messages about the Iran war and news that the Strait of Hormuz was closed again. In early Asian trading, Brent crude futures jumped about 7% to 96 and 85 cents a barrel, and S&P 500 futures fell about 0.9%. and Jacqueline Smith has revealed she passed on the chance to play a Bond girl in the 1979 film Moonraker, and the reason comes down to her Houston roots and a sense of loyalty that proved stronger than any Hollywood opportunity. The Charlie's Angels star, 80, made the disclosure at Pehel Fest's Charlie's Angels 50th anniversary reunion, explaining that she was under contract at the time and felt honor-bound to see it through. And Islamabad Deputy Commissioner Irfan Nawaz Memon on Sunday dismissed as fake a notification circulating online that claimed all public and private offices in the federal capital and Rawalpindi would remain closed from April 20 until further notice. In a post on X, he urged citizens not to share unverified or misleading information and to rely only on official government sources for updates.
That. OpenAI has been all over the news recently, whether that news is about acquisitions, competition with Anthropic, or bigger debates about AI's impact on society. On the latest episode of TechWitty Podcast, Kirsten Korosek, Sean O'Kane, and I did our best to round up all the latest OpenAI news. While the company's latest acquisitions seem to be classic acqui-hires, Sean suggested they also address two big existential problems that OpenAI is trying to solve right now.
And Alex Earle has broken her silence on the simmering feud with Call Her Daddy podcaster Alex Cooper and made clear that the full story has yet to come out. The TikTok star, 25, responded to a fan comment about the drama in the comments section of a recent post, writing simply, "Doesn't mean it's true, you'll see." And Ryan Reynolds has spoken out in passionate defense of his wife Blake Lively as their high-profile legal battle with Justin Baldoni continues to play out in public, pushing back on reports that the lawsuit has damaged her standing in Hollywood. The Deadpool star, 49, told Willie Geist during a live taping of Sunday Sit Down that he has never felt prouder of anyone.
That, in a recent episode of No Priors, the excellent podcast co-hosted by AI investors Sarah Guo and Elad Gil, Gil made a point about exit timing that's undoubtedly familiar to founders who've spent time with that, but seems particularly useful in this moment of go-go deal-making. For most companies, Gil said, there's roughly a 12-month period where the business is at its peak value, and then it crashes out and the window closes. That. The companies that capture generational returns are often the ones where someone spies that moment instead of assuming the good times will get even better. Lotus, AOL, and Mark Cuban's Broadcast.com all sold at or near the top. That and all are held up by Gil as examples of outfits that foresaw what was coming and smartly pulled the ripcord. That. Kris Jenner has landed in a new conundrum after debuting her face transformation last year, which made her nearly unrecognizable. On her 70th birthday, Kris famously looked her daughter's sister, and the plastic surgeon who she worked with rose to new popularity in Hollywood.
And bomb disposal experts carried out a controlled underground detonation of a World War II explosive near Paris on Sunday. An AFP journalist reported after authorities evacuated more than 1,000 residents, nearly 800 police cordoned off the site in the northwest suburb of Colombes, where the device was first discovered on April 10. And Islamabad Deputy Commissioner Irfan Nawaz Memon on Sunday dismissed as fake on Sunday a notification announcing that all public and private offices in the federal capital and Rawalpindi would remain closed from April 20 until further notice. In a social media post on X, Memon said, "Citizens are requested to refrain from sharing unverified or fake news. Please rely only on official handles of the district administration Islamabad for authentic updates." And the winning runner at a Beijing half marathon for humanoid robots finished the race today in 50 minutes and 26 seconds, significantly faster than the human world record of 57 minutes recently set by Jacob Kiplimo. And comparing human and robot running times may seem unfair. One social media user observed, "My car can outrun a cheetah too." Still, the winning time is a massive improvement over last year's race and when the fastest robot finished in 2 hours and 40 minutes. Back then, I scoffed that this would not be an impressive time for a human. And Jeff Bezos' space company Blue Origin successfully reused one of its New Glenn rockets for the first time ever on Sunday, but the company failed at its primary mission, delivering a communications satellite to orbit for customer AST Space Mobile. And AST Space Mobile issued a statement Sunday afternoon that the upper stage of the New Glenn rocket placed Bluebird 7 satellite into an orbit that was lower than planned. The satellite successfully separated from the rocket and powered on, and the company said, but the altitude is too low to sustain operations and will now have to be deorbited, left to burn up in the atmosphere of Earth.
That. Olivia Rodrigo made a surprise appearance during Addison Rae's Coachella, set on Saturday, and Halsey was one of the attendees in the crowd. The 31-year-old musician took to Instagram after the performance and shared a video of the driver's license hitmaker's performance and wrote, "Favorite girl," over it.
And Charlize Theron openly criticised Timothée Chalamet for his views over ballet and opera, which he considered the forgotten arts. In a new interview, the 50-year-old actress shared that dance was probably one of the hardest things she ever did. And Minister of State for Finance Bilal Azar Kayani has visited the Overseas Investors Chamber of Commerce and Industry, OICCI, in Karachi and held discussions with its leadership as part of ongoing consultations for the federal budget 2026-27. And the meeting was focused on the broader economic outlook, upcoming budget priorities, and government efforts to promote business activity, improve the investment climate, and expand the tax base through sustained reforms, and the Ministry of Finance said in a statement.
That Hollywood just got a next-generation crossover. Eddie Murphy confirmed that his son Eric and Martin Lawrence's daughter Jasmine have welcomed their first child together, making the comedy legend's grandparents at the same time. They just had a baby girl. Eddie, 65, told E! News on April 18. They just had her 2 weeks ago, or a week ago.